you love me the same. And when I'm surrounded, when I lose my way, when I'm crying out, falling down, you are here to lift me up. When I am weak, your arms wrap around me. Your love catches me, so I'm letting go. You lift me up when I can't see. Your heart is all that I need. Your love carries me, so I'm letting go. I can see the dawn is breaking. I am feeling overtaken with your love, with your love. I don't know what I can offer in this moment. I can live to your love, to your love. You lift me up when I am weak. Your arms wrap around me. Your love catches me, so I'm letting go. You lift me up when I am weak. Your arms wrap around me. Your love catches me, so I'm letting go. You lift me up when I can't see. Your heart is all that I need. Your love carries me, so I'm letting go. I can see the dawn is breaking. I'm feeling overtaken with your love, your love. You lift me up, you lift me up, you lift me up, you lift me up.
The first section here is on Matthew 5, 3 to 10. Maybe some of you know that's called the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The will of God and individual perfection. When your spirit is uplifted and shining, you are ready to contact the spirit world and God, and a spark can jump between God's spirit and your spirit. That is why we have to strive very hard to be bright and happy all the time. When you keep your spirit uplifted all the time, you can meet God, for which you can be truly thankful. A needed man. Air is all around you, but it is invisible. Only when you run along the road do you feel the wind coming against you. That's how I feel God. If you really want to know God, go out to the front lines, fighting, moving about. That is why whenever I feel in need of something, I move about. Amen and adieu.
We had a little cold spell up there. And the warmest day we had in a 2-week stretch was 45 below. That was the warmest day. We were doing what? Fundraising, door-to-door fundraising. And the coldest day I experienced was also up in Alaska when it was 45 below, but the wind was moving at 40, 50 miles an hour. That, my friends, makes this seem easy. There was nothing quite like that. Anyway, here we are in 2018. I think it's time to review the year, don't you? We look at the news. Everybody, we have to see the news. We have to see what's going on. We know what's going on. And we see things happening out there. And I think we see things happening. We wonder what's happening. But we have to remember what Jesus warned us. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, and nation will rise against nation, and there will be famine and earthquakes in various places. So all these things are happening, and we know that this is the last days. We're in the last days. And in the last days, the world is dividing into the sheep and the goats. That's the good news. And most of the time, the goats get the attention. They're out there kicking and screaming and fussing. They seem to be in charge of everything. But do the goats bring good results for people? War is always a big issue. Right now, war is a very big issue. The potential for war has everybody on edge, realistically speaking. And everybody's always saying we're tired of wars, but wars don't go away. How do most nations deal with war? They want to prevent war by doing what? No, collecting more weapons, building bigger bombs. That is the goat solution to war, to get more weapons and more powerful weapons. That's the goat's idea. In fact, as long as I can remember, and I can remember back to the days of Kennedy, we've lived under what we call mutually assured destruction. That's our reality, mutually assured destruction. You know what that is? Right, we don't start war because we're all going to lose. Not really a good solution. An economy is always big. People vote the economy. I vote the economy. And I've heard a lot of fussing from the goats about what we call economic inequalities. That's the big news now, the economic inequalities that people face. They've always been with us, but people are making more noise about it. So what's the solution? What's the goat's solution for economic inequality? Take from those who have and give to those who don't. Robin Hood, we're the great Robin Hoods of the world. We're going to make everybody the same. But is anybody here interested in repeating the failures of socialism in your lifetime, or in giving your children socialistic society to live in? But that's what keeps coming out. Another issue I see a lot of is refugees and immigration. A lot of people are concerned about that right now. In fact, we see a huge migration, never seen like this before, out of the Middle East and out of South America. People moving, going someplace else. But this is not the first time we've had mass migrations. Back in the 1840s, the potato crop failed in Ireland, and they came out of Ireland by the millions into America. We had a wave of Irish in America. After that, we had the wave of Italians. Before that, we had also a wave of African immigration. They weren't here by their own will, but they came. So there's been mass migrations and immigrations before. But do the goats have any idea what to do with all these people? How do we take care of all these people? Just give them more money. Yeah. There's no way to, people don't talk about assimilating. They want to create environments, but they want to assimilate people together. But actually, let's pick up a newspaper from any year in human history, any country in human history, any time in human history, any culture, any people. And these are the same problems you're going to read about any time and every time. Same problems over and over again, same solutions over and over again. So an endless parade of solutions from the goats that don't work. And those solutions don't look like they're going to work anytime in the future. So going forward, there's no real vision, no real solution. So who does bring good results for people? The goats don't bring good results for people. Who brings the good results? The sheep. And who are the sheep? Jesus said, who are the sheep? The one who hear God's word and follow his word. Those are the sheep. Because God's way is always the right way. And that's why we bring good solutions. I like to think about the parable of the Good Samaritan. Everybody knows that story, right? Who is your neighbor? Somebody asked Jesus, who's your neighbor? You're talking about who's your neighbor? Who's your neighbor? Jesus said, well, there was a priest went to maybe Samaria. The Jews didn't like Samaritans at that time. But this priest went to Samaria, and the robbers attacked him and laid him out, took his money and stripped his clothes. And then a priest from Israel came down and saw the man in the road, so he crossed the other side of the road and passed by. And then a good Jewish guy came by, saw the guy in the road, crossed the road, and passed by. And then a Samaritan came by. And the Jewish people, like I said, they thought lowly of the Samaritans, but the Samaritan came by, and he saw the man in the road, and he dressed his wounds, and he put him on his donkey, and he took him into town and took him to an inn and said, you know, take care of the man. Here's two pieces of silver, and if you need any more money when I come back, I'll cover the rest of the balance. So Jesus asked, who was the man's neighbor? So we have the expression, the Good Samaritan, the guy who did the good thing for somebody else, the guy who sacrificed himself for somebody else. So what is God's solution to war? The goats are rattling their sabers. And what are sheep doing? What is the sheep's solution to war? By the way, I think you guys are the sheep, if you're interested. What is the sheep's solution to war? Yeah, love your enemy. But actually, we have to solve war. We have to solve war. We solve war. That's the difference between us and everybody else. We solve war. What is the first step to solving war?
Marry intercultural. Ooh, that's a good one. That's good. The father said.
That's the second step.
Oh, really?
Unite your mind and body. Where does war begin? War begins within ourselves. There is no peace in a nation. There's no peace between cultures and no peace in families because there's no peace inside of fallen men. Our mind and body are at war. Divine principle teaches us, unite your mind and body. Become a man of peace. Then you make a family of peace, make a society of peace, a culture of peace, a nation of peace, a world of peace. That's what the sheep solution is. And that is a solution that actually works. And that is a solution you can actually do. You don't need a government grant to unite your mind and body. You don't need any advice from anybody to unite your mind and body, right? When Father said, who do you get your advice from about uniting your mind and body? Your conscience, of course. So we solve war, become a man of peace, build a family of peace, make a world of peace. I didn't say we're going to solve it today, but that's the solution. What about economy? What is God's solution to economy? It's in the divine principle. Yep. Okay. But socialism doesn't work. We know that. Capitalism doesn't work. There's the man right there. Interdependence, mutual prosperity, commonly shared values. That is divine principle's explanation of what economy should be. Do I have any idea what it actually would look like in reality? Maybe not. We haven't got that point where we're going to build a structure big enough. But divine principle offers this concept, interdependence, no more independence. Independence, it doesn't work. There's no such thing as independence. Nobody is independent anyway. We are interdependent. Mutual prosperity. This is very important because if you run a business, you're trying to make money for yourself, of course. And how do you make money for yourself? Well, one of the best ways is to make less money for the other guy. Get a better price. Charge a higher price. That's how you make money. But it's not, is that sustainable? No. Actually, at work, yeah, I do a lot of purchasing of products, and I don't like to nickel and dime my suppliers. I don't like to just drive them down for the lowest price, just get another nickel off, because I know that when that nickel comes off, the price that I'm paying, that the guy who's not going to get paid a nickel is the poor Mexican working on the floor. The boss is going to get his money, but the guy at the bottom at the other company is the guy who's going to be losing money. I know that's where the money's going to come from. So I just try to keep a fair price. I don't just drive people just for price, because I feel like we are working together. My supplier also has to make money. I mean, immigration is tricky. Immigration is tricky because it's a goat's world. Immigration is tricky because it's a goat's world. In God's world, what is God's concept about immigration? No borders. How did Father put it? He said, do I need a passport to visit my brother's house? Do I need a passport to visit my brother? No. I mean, do I need a passport into my brother's house to visit my brother? No. My brother is my brother. I just go to his house because he's my brother. In the goat's world, we are full of people who do not take responsibility. We are full of people who are not peaceful people. We are full of people who are not godly people. So we don't want them around. And people live in nations that are not godly nations. They live in bad places to live. In God's world, every place would be a beautiful place to live. You wouldn't want to be, don't need to have people running from out of their home to go someplace else that's better. Because in God's world, we would all be better. We're all living in a good place. But do the ones who follow God's word, do they bring good results only for other people? We bring good results for ourselves too. I always loved, Father always liked talking about, Jesus said, do not worry saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek ye first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So do we want good results in our lives? Yes. Emmanuel, do you want good results? Right. Of course. And that's why we're here this morning. That's why we came into this environment in the first place, when you first came to church. But of course, nobody's here just to get something to eat, or just to get something to drink, or just to get something to wear. Why did we come here? We're going to go now. See, I actually had put the 100K for a reason. Some of us were here because we were poor in spirit, and here we found ourselves in the kingdom of heaven. Everybody knows something who they are. Some of us are here because we were meek, and here we have inherited the earth. Some of us are here because we were merciful, and God gave us mercy. And some of us are here because we were pure in heart, and here we have found God. And some of us are here because before we even knew, we were hungering and thirsting for righteousness, and here we became full. Probably all of us have some idea how I was prepared to hear this divine principle, who I am, that I could be given grace and glory to be here. I know when I heard divine principle, God came alive for me. I lived in an impossible environment. I lived in an environment that's impossible to believe in God. But when I heard divine principle, when I heard Reverend Moon talk, God became possible. That was very great for me. God was actually possible. And after I learned divine principle, after that, then Jesus came alive for me. Jesus' words really became powerful. When I learned divine principle, then Jesus' words, of course, made more and more sense. And of course, as life goes on, and this is a process that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen in one day or 1 week. It's not a 7-day workshop or a 20-day workshop. It's a process that takes time. You get to know divine principle, and then you get to understand the true parents, and then you get to realize that every promise that God made has been fulfilled. Of course, many of you are younger than me, but I can tell you that God's words, God's promises are good, and they come true. So should I want to be a goat or should I want to be a sheep? So how can I be a good sheep? How can I be a good sheep? Well, you know, Father gave us 2 points this morning, right? And I was, you know, we want to get close to God, and historically, religions have done different things for people to get close to God: fasting, you know, cold showers. In fact, I remember when I was on MFT, because it was very cold. I remember my first year on MFT, I did a cold shower condition out in Washington State in Christmas time, and we were working hard. It was very cold that year. It was cold, and we would work hard. We'd come back every day. Some of you don't know this, our full history, but we came back from work every day, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would doggone take a 3-minute cold shower, no matter what. And I made a lot of money. I was doing good. I was doing good. So that was good. That was when I was, of course, that was my first year. That was 40 years ago or something like that. Anyway, so I always thought that's not a bad condition to unite your mind and body, until I went to Alaska. Then I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a cold shower condition again. I swear, I turned that water on. It was like a knife. I said, "Deesh!" I said, "Damn, what was that?" That was like, oh my God, that was unreal. Yeah, I never experienced cold water like that. It just doesn't exist. Anyway, I gave up on that right there. That didn't help me. And actually, the reason I think about that, because when I take a shower now and I turn the water on, it's cold, and I think, I'm not going to get in there. And I say, man, I'm so weak. And I used to do that, but I don't want to do that now. I don't like that. When I go to King's Spa, I'll jump in the cold water, but then I can jump out into the hot water, but I don't do that. And then there's always prayer conditions. Anybody know anything about prayer conditions? Because probably I don't. I've never been really good at that. That hasn't been my thing. Or meditating. No. God never asked me to meditate and then waste my time, waste his time. Right? Well, that's what happens. You waste God's time, you waste your time. If that's who you are, and that's who I am. That's right. Know who you are. But Father gave us 2 points. Keep your spirit bright and shining and uplifted so you can meet God, for which you can be truly thankful. That's a wonderful thing too, right? It's not easy to keep your spirit bright and shining and uplifted. I mean, that's really, I envy people who are like that. But I try to be like that too. Learn from those people who you know that are bright and shining, and just try to be more bright and more shining yourself. All you can do is try. All you can do is do your best to be bright and shining and uplifted. Learn from somebody who's doing a better job than you are. You know, be a little jealous and learn from them. Try to be a little better at something. Someone's doing better with donation. Learn from them. That's what I remember when I was, again, way back in MFT, we were hearing about, that's when we first talked about the Japanese church, back in like 76, 77, 78. And some, the leader told me, well, Father, we asked the Japanese church to make $1 million donation this month. And they did it. Wow, that's amazing, amazing. And then he said, our Father said next month they should make 10 million. Oh, jeez, that was hard work. But the next month, the Japanese church did it, they did it. But then you heard about many stories of sacrifice, how the Japanese members sacrificed themselves, dedicated themselves so intensely, so completely, sacrificing so much. So I learned from that. I learned from that. It's not easy to do, but I learned from that. And then I got me a Japanese wife, which was by design. I wanted a Japanese wife, and I expected a Japanese wife, and I got a Japanese wife. But I knew that she came with certain baggage. And one of them was she likes to make donations. I knew she was going to like to spend my money. I knew that. So if I want a Japanese wife, and I know that they're going to make donations, what should I do? So anyway, I just told myself, if she gives away all my money, if we end up on the street, I will never say one word to her about making a donation. And you can ask her if that's true or not. Sometimes I want to say something. But I said, anyway, that's what I said to myself, and nobody but me and God knew it, so if I can't listen to my own self, who am I going to listen to? And then so that's the internal content. Keep your spirit bright and shining, uplifted, so you can meet God, for which you can be truly thankful. Many of us have some experience meeting God, I'm sure. And what's the external point Father gave us? In the 100K, anyway. Move. Do something. I really like that about Reverend Moon. I read that a long time, the Father's words. Well, don't talk about prayer. Go and do something. I really like that. That's great. That fit me well. Go out and do something. Witness to people. Talk to people. Just do something. Of course, the way we used to live, who can forget it? The way we used to live, we were always doing something. We were always moving. And we had, of course, a lot of times testimonies about God's work in our lives. We felt explicit and personal connection with God. And we were in that environment. Things have changed, right? Things have changed. We're not in that environment anymore. So if we're going to move, I have to move myself. And I remember everybody, especially who did MFT or witnessing time, nobody likes to be rejected. We were rejected all the time. God, we're being rejected. People saying no. And of course, everybody knows how it feels to not want to be rejected, not want to do anything, but then getting up and then doing something anyway. And I remember Father said, when you experience rejection after rejection, all of a sudden you start to weep. But those are not your tears. Rather, God is crying through you. And of course, we all know that if you continue through rejection, rejection is just a path. It's a path to meeting that one person who doesn't reject you, to meeting the one person who understands what you're doing. I remember, I have stories, of course. We all have stories from MFT, but I had this one time when we're doing pretty rough. I had a lot of teams that were pretty rough. I don't know, because I ended up on pretty rough teams. But so we had a goal: make $100 before you ate something, lunch or whatever, lunch or an afternoon snack or a dinner or anything. Anyway, I was at the anything stage all day, working hard out in Montana. $97. We have a goal. You can't eat to make 100. Oh my God, I'm so hungry. So, but I go to some like convenience store, Circle K's over there in Montana, and I'm hitting the people coming out the door. And one guy, and this is true, one guy says to me, I know you're working with Reverend Moon, so I don't want to give him any money, but this is for you. And he gives me what? $3. This is real story. And like, I go, that's good enough for me. That's close enough for me. I went inside and bought something to eat. God, I was hungry. That's real stuff. I mean, it's not the only time stuff like that. Don't want to go through. Everybody has many experiences, but are these coincidences like, are they too weird to be real, or just really, does God really know you personally, intimately, exactly this momently? So I'm 65 years old now, but I still treasure that feeling of God's presence, and I want more of it. Why not? The more, the better. So I gotta resolve myself, and I want to ask us, let's resolve this year to move. And so what should we do? Everybody's worried about what should I do, especially what should I do for witnessing? And my wife, she wants to know what people are doing that's good, that's successful. And Mother has a conference about best practices. But this is what I know. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. Just do something. Just do something. Because God works in all kinds of situations. It doesn't matter what we're doing. God is working. Because we can talk to people about anything, and we have a better idea. We can talk to people about everything, and we have a better idea. Don't you feel that way? We have a better idea right now. Look at the world. Look at CNBC, if you can tolerate it. Look at Fox News. Look at all the godless solutions out there. Look at all the problems. The problems will always be with the fallen world. Look at all those godless solutions that keep coming out over and over again. Same solutions, same problems. I know they won't work. You know they won't work. Everybody knows they won't work. People don't have a lot of hope because they know the solutions aren't going to work. The fallen world has tried everything with no good results. They write laws, they give punishment, they give motivation, they give education. Does anything change? So do you feel a sense of how important you are? How important you are. You can change this world. Because we can talk to people about anything, and we have a better idea. We can talk to people about everything, and we have a better idea. And if we talk to people We will meet people who are poor in spirit, like some of you were. If we talk to people, we will meet people who mourn. Thursday, before the snow, I called up one of my suppliers that I buy from for years to order some plastic bags. And somehow, a little catch the conversation, start to talk a little bit more personal about the guy. His wife left him. He's raising 2 sons. Here's somebody who's mourning, of course. So I tell him the truth. Ideal family, I talk about what we think about. I talk about God. Man, I like the way you talk, Steve. I really like what you're saying. And I said, well, hell, I wish I could talk to thousands of people. I could get elected for any office if I wanted to. If I could talk to enough people, I would get elected for any office. But anyway, I caught him right there. So now I never knew. We talked for years to each other. But a little catch in the conversation. Find out something. Here's a person who's mourning. Of course. He doesn't tell me he's mourning. His wife is gone. I know he's mourning. He's trying to raise 2 boys. Don't I know he's someone poor in spirit? So I'm going to recontact, see if I can catch this person. If we talk to people, we will meet the people who are meek. Some of you were meek. If we talk to people, we'll meet the people who are merciful and pure in heart. They're out there. If we talk to people, we'll meet the people who are hungering and thirsting for righteousness. Because nobody can figure out the right way to do anything. But we know the right way to do something. But nobody else can satisfy righteousness. Every solution the goats have is always wrong. It's all selfish. And if we talk to people, we will feel God close to us again. So Father talked about keeping my spirit uplifted, keep moving. He told us this because God is a living God. And wherever I go, and whenever I go, God will go there also. God bless you all this new year. Thank you very much.
You open my eyes to your wonders anew. You capture my heart with this love.